Hello, today I'll be teaching you how to make a Fibonacci spiral in Illustrator. And those of you who read the book in the lesson plan, you'll know that the Fibonacci spiral was covered in graphics design school by Dabner. On page 36, there's a whole lot of stuff about the Fibonacci spiral right here. For the Danish students, in grafisk design kursus by Dabner, there's also a whole section about the Fibonacci spiral right here. And that's not a whole lot of info. That's why I actually spent like 2 hours with the international students telling about the Fibonacci spiral, showing them examples and giving them an assignment. I'm going to be doing the same to you, Danish students out there. But let's just cover on this video how to make the Fibonacci spiral and actually how to export it and thus import it to a Photoshop document and make use of it. Okay, so here in Illustrator we got one I already made. I'm just gonna make sure that one is deleted, so let's just totally erase this layer right here. First off, I'm gonna write the formula for this Fibonacci spiral. So I'm just gonna type in Fibonacci formula, and if we're really old school, we'll write it like that. And okay, so 1 is the shape of the square we're gonna start out with. It's gonna be a dimension which we call 1. It can actually be any size at all, but that size we decide will determine what size all the other parts of the spiral will be. So let's say 1 is our standard for any size object. This one, when you're gonna add some to the spiral, you're gonna be adding that part of the spiral by actually taking this number 1 and adding it to the previous number. Since there's no previous number next to 1, there's no thing left of 1. That means it's nothing. So 1 plus 0 is gonna make 1. Now when we add the next number, it's gonna be 1 plus the previous number, which is 1, then it's gonna be 2. Okay, so next up we're gonna add 2 to 1, and that's gonna make 3. Okay, so 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, and 13 plus 8 is 21, and we can just continue like that, and it's just gonna make even bigger numbers, and we like big numbers. We really like big numbers. That's okay. So should we continue? Okay, I think that's enough for today. Okay, given this formula, I really need to do something right here, and I really have a hard time dealing with these commas right here, so Optima is not the right solution. Let's go with Gil Sans. Gil Sans, where are you? Gil Sans, oh, you just saved us. And since Gil Sans is taking out much more weight in the picture than this Fibonacci formula header, I'm just going to change this to be a Century Gothic, and we'll see what that does. I said Century Gothic, goddammit. Okay, that helped a bit. Just gonna make this a bit tinier. Let's say 30. There we have it. Okay, so now let's draw this formula. So we're gonna take the rectangle tool. I'm gonna switch it to use fill, and inside the swatches panel I'll be using some kind of color. Let's just take blue. Make sure that it's fill, which is actually selected down here, not the stroke. Not the stroke. We'll be wanting to make a square which is filled with color. So let's choose the fill. Let's choose the fill to be blue. Whatever color you feel is your favorite color. And then let's just, with the rectangle tool, just click and drag. Just click and drag, and you can drag any size you want. Just remember to hold down Shift while doing so. There we have it. Then we're going to take the black arrow, the selection tool, which if you're using a black version of Illustrator will probably be white, but I don't care. I call this the black arrow, but it's the selection tool. You can always fetch it by clicking your keyboard on the key V. V is the selection tool. Okay, so I'm just going to click and drag this smaller. Actually, still holding the Shift down because it's not going to be needing to be that big, because then I'll just have a huge spiral taking out all of my paper. This will be the size of my first square. This is going to be the first number. And I'm going to need one more square next to it, because 1 plus 1, okay, so that's one more square. I'm just going to, let's say, copy paste a new one, edit, copy, edit, paste. Okay, so you see the shortcut is out here. That's a command symbol. That's only located on a Mac. On PC it will say Control. And I'll take this shape. I'm just gonna zoom in a bit, because then I know I can actually hit the center of this object. Now when you want to make sure this object is located entirely next to the other object, you need to be sure that you have Smart Guides switched on. So View, Smart Guides, View is a part of the menu, View, Smart Guides, yeah, it's switched on. So then I can move it by clicking on the center of the object, not on these corners right here, because then I'll just start doing weird stuff to my object, and that's not going to be nice. So I'm going to click and drag on the center, and then I can move it next to the other. And my Smart Guides will actually help me not to place it like this, but instead to place it exactly where it's supposed to go. You see, it will say it's intersecting right now. It's really intersecting. And I'm gonna switch this to being a yellow, because yellow and blue, 80s, you got it. Okay, so with this object, I'm gonna click on copy. I'm gonna Command C. That's Control C on a PC, and I'm just gonna Command V to paste it. Command V to paste it. That's Control V on a PC, and I'm gonna put it on top of the other one. Okay, wouldn't it just be nice if there was some kind of shortcut for pasting on top of stuff, so I didn't have to drag it on top afterwards? Yeah, it would. And I'm just gonna actually, instead of dragging it on top of the other, I'm gonna delete this one. I'm gonna click on the other one with my black arrow. That's always how you select stuff. Black arrow, it will select everything that's the object. Okay, so instead of saying edit, copy, and edit, paste, which will place the object in the center of the screen, or in the center of the window, the file window, the untitled one window, I'm gonna say paste in front. Paste in front, people. Which will locate actually an entirely identical yellow square on top of the other. Let's just check. Yep, there's a yellow square on top of the other. I'm gonna click undo. That's Command C. Oh, sorry, Command Z. Command Z, and it will jump down again onto the other square. Okay, so next off, this coffee is getting cold. I'm just gonna hold down Shift, gonna drag on the left bottom corner and drag it all the way down to the bottom right here, to the bottom left. And notice that when I go out here, the Smart Guides will not help me. But if I go down instead and try just using this edge of the blue square to drag the square downwards, suddenly it will say, now we got the right point where you should stop dragging even further. And here is where I would say stop and release my mouse button. And I'll do so. I'm gonna make this brown because this is a part of everyday life. The brown color, you will notice that, I don't know what I'm saying, but the brown color, that's what it is. And I placed it just below the other two, so it's exactly below them and not going further out to the left or further out to the right. And I'll just make a copy of this, copy and paste in front, and I'll just show it one more time. That's copy, edit, copy, and again edit, paste in front. So I got a copy in front, you see, and I'm just gonna click undo to make sure that it's on top of the other again, and shift click the left top corner and just drag it till I see this green guide again, this smart guy, helpful thingy that I just love in my life. I'm gonna release my mouse key and I'm gonna drag this all the way out to the left and just make sure that it hits correctly. And there we got it, and it's gonna be green, it's gonna be sparkly, we're gonna love it. And I'm just gonna copy, paste in front again, gonna drag from the top right up to where the green guide will help me again. The green guide, it's not the green lantern, it's the green guide helping us all the way through this. And okay, this will be some kind of orange. I'm gonna drag it up here and drag it down there again, and a copy of it and a paste in front, and then we're gonna shift click and drag on the bottom right corner down to where the green guide is always our helpful assistant. Gonna release and just put it up there with the other, among the angels. No, blue was not the color, we already used that. So let's say we love the purplish pink, purple-ish color. Okay, so now we got 1, 1, we got 2, we got 3, we got 5, we got 8. Let's take a 13 as well. So I'm gonna copy, paste in front. I'm gonna click and drag this one bigger using the smart guides, helpful stuff. I'm gonna make this one some kind of monster. And that will only make sense to anyone listening to Metallica. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out a bit. I've just zoomed out to see the entire file by Command 0, clicking Command 0. And okay, so now I get this object, and right now it's going outside of my document, and oh yeah, I'm scrolling with my mouse. You got the scroll wheel on your mouse. Whee! I'm gonna select everything with my black arrow. Gonna select it, and when it's selected, I'm just gonna click and drag to rotate at the corner, outside the corner, not on top of the corner, but outside the corner. There's a rotation symbol. It's just hiding out there. It's just waiting to be used and taken advantage of. So I'm gonna click and drag. I'm gonna click like that, and it's just gonna, oh yeah, I forgot to mention one thing. While you're clicking and dragging to rotate, you'll just hold down shift, because then it will rotate into the degrees you want. 0 degrees, you don't want that, 45 degrees, or 90 degrees, or you can just keep on doing it. Okay, so I'm gonna stop at 90 degrees because that's what I like. I like 90 degrees. I really like 90 degrees. And okay, so now we'll want a spiral inside of here, and I'm just gonna lock this selection, perhaps even group it first, so if you ever want to move it again, you can just move everything together and have, instead of having to select it all the time. So right about here, I'm just gonna say object lock selection. That's Command 2. Really a hard shortcut to remember. So lock the selection, and now I cannot click it in any way, which will help me when I start drawing on top of it. I'll take the arc tool right here. It's located beneath the line segment tool. It's just the line. and no, I don't want to double click that one. I'll just hold down my mouse button on top of the line segment tool so it becomes an arc tool. And using the arc tool, I'll just I'll just check the settings first off, just double click it and say, okay, what is the arc? And sometimes when you've been drawing with this, actually, you've been making some pretty disturbing arcs. You've been clicking your bracket keys, your arrow keys, and it's no longer a regular bracket. It's no longer a regular arc. And we'll just remove that. And you'll notice next time you go in here, it will say something that is imprecise. You'll want to have a value of minus 50. Minus 50%, not minus 100%, not plus 50%, not plus 100, but minus 50 is approximate. Plus 50 is okay as well, as long as it's 50. And then I'll just make sure that's okay. I actually clicked okay. I did not click cancel, even though it was tempting. Now I click cancel because it was already set to 50. Okay, I'm gonna, with my smart guide switched on, they're so helpful because they're actually telling me, here's the anchor. And right now if I drew anything, it's not gonna put any color inside of it because you see the fill is none and the stroke is none. It's just showing that red diagonal line which is telling us, nay, we do not want any color in our lives. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna click on the stroke because that's what I'm gonna be altering now. It's not gonna be the fill, which I was using before. It's just gonna be the stroke. If it was fill, I would be clicking right here and choosing a color up from up here, but now it's gonna be the stroke. And I'm gonna click on swatches and I'm just gonna choose the color black because I'm so original. Okay, so with the arc tool, I don't know if I sometimes say spiral tool. The spiral tool is something entirely different and it's not gonna work on this one. Okay, so arc tool, I'm gonna click here on the anchor. I choose to paint it black. Paint it black. Okay, and I'm gonna choose a stroke of 2 point. Stroke inside the stroke panel of 2 point. Gonna place it on the anchor right here. When is he getting started? Is he ever getting started? He'll just keep on going down to that anchor and then change something again. I will start now. I'll click and drag all the way up to this, all the way up to where it says anchor on the top left of square number 1. I'll hold down shift just to be 100% sure that this will make an object which fits inside a square. See, okay, I'll just show you that it fits inside a square because I'm gonna try doing it out here. Click and drag, shift. You see, can you see that the shape will fit inside a square? You can see that? Can you see it? Can you see it? Okay, let's show it. I'll just click and drag a rectangle on top of it and hold down shift to make this square. And you see? Now it is an arc which is inside a square. Okay, so we just demonstrated that. I'm gonna go up to the top of this anchor, gonna click and drag, hold down shift, make sure that it goes all the way up to the anchor at the top right, gonna release. Okay, from this anchor I'm gonna shift click all the way down to the button and button right, I might say, and release when it's on the anchor. Then again, gonna click and drag from the anchor down to the left bottom of my object, boom, like that, and from this anchor up to the top left anchor where it says here, where it says anchor, always holding down shift to make sure that it's gonna be something that would fit inside a square. Yep, gonna click again and drag from the anchor. I want to see the anchor. I know you want it to say intersect, but please be an anchor. And I'm just gonna place it up here by the anchor, and again, okay, I'll take the intersect point, okay, whatever, and down to the anchor. Okay, so next off we'll take all these arcs which are not placed correctly, and we'll just click on them with our black arrow, the black arrow up here, oh yeah, the black arrow, and I'm gonna rotate it. No, out here, the rotate symbol again. We'll want that, and we'll just click and drag for it to rotate, hold down shift for it to do it 180 degrees, and I'll just do the same over here, 180 degrees, that's our friend. Really nice friend to have. Yeah, you can go out and party with that dude and so on. And okay, so here we got the Fibonacci spiral. You can make this any size. You could actually make this even bigger. So let's just try. You don't have to make yours bigger, but let's just say we wanted to make it bigger. I'm just gonna select all of these items. I just unlocked this background material, and I'm just gonna make it even bigger. Okay, so this object right here, which we concluded was 13, I'm just gonna ungroup please. This one, which was 13, I'm just gonna command paste in. I'm just gonna copy, paste in front, and with this new copy in front, I'm just gonna use my smart guides, and what's happening down here, it's just looking really ridiculous, but my smart guide is still working. Okay, so I'm just gonna drag this out here, all the way out here. That's just Illustrator not always previewing things correctly. Okay, boom. Whoops, we put it in the stroke. I'm just going to click undo and put it in the fill instead. Going to click on the fill and just hit the right swatch. And yeah, not blue. I do not want the blue. And I do not really want this color either. So I'm just going to go to the color guide and I'm going to switch off some of the coloring. And I really love this color. I want to wear this color every day. Okay, so I'm going to go into the arc tool and I'm just going to go click and drag on it, shift click and drag, and you notice, okay, now we got an arc again, but this time it was not black. I'm gonna color it black. I'm just gonna go to the swatches or go to the color and do it, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be a stroke of 2 points, and there we have another part of the spiral, and it can just continue like that. And just because it became so big, I'm just gonna reduce the size of this object right here so it actually fits right there. And this object now, I'm just gonna, instead of deleting actually the Fibonacci formula, I'm gonna make a new document. I'm gonna make sure this is A4, it's gonna be landscape, there's no bleed and so on. I'm gonna click OK. That went fast. And then I'm just gonna go back to my other document, Untitled 1. I just made Untitled 2. That's up in the tabs right here. I'm just gonna select this object right here and I'm gonna drag it over into my other tab. And drag it down into the document. Okay, I'll repeat that. I'm gonna select my entire object. I could group it. You know what? I'll group it. Object, group. Okay, now I'll move everything always. And when it's selected, I'm gonna move it up into my Untitled 2 document inside the tab. Then move it down onto the document. And it's gonna be in here. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be real sweet, and I'm gonna just shift click and drag it all the way down here. And now we got all this white space down here. It's actually transparent space, which will make no sense for you if you're used to using Photoshop, because transparency shows us a grid in Photoshop, a gray and white grid. But let's just ignore that. If there's no object here in Illustrator, it means there's no color as well. I'm just going to switch to the artboard tool down here, and I'm just going to drag this to where the bottom of the Fibonacci spiral is, and just going to release. Okay, so now we got the Fibonacci spiral. This is a nice spiral. It's a really nice spiral. I'm really grateful about it. And I'm going to save this document. I'm going to say File, Save As. And it's I'm just gonna name it Fibonacci spiral. Sounds like a logical thing to call it. gonna put it on my desktop because that's where I like all my stuff. It's gonna be an AI file. It's gonna be saved in Illustrator CC. If you're using Illustrator CS6, of course it's gonna be CS6. Or if you were using CC, but some of your comrades you are working with in groups were using CS6, great idea to save it as a CS6 file. You can always save backwards, but you cannot save forward. Okay, so okay. And I'm just gonna close this file, and I'm not gonna be needing that one, so I'll just close that down as well. And let's just open up a Photoshop file. So I'm just gonna go into my folder. I got a photo right in here. Did I not? Was it in here? Yeah, it was in here. So I'll find the pics right in here, and I got a truck right here. A truck, a mean truck. It's gonna be so sweet. I'm gonna open it up in Photoshop. This was actually the picture I was using to demonstrate stuff about how to use the Fibonacci spiral in international class. I'm gonna import my Fibonacci spiral into Photoshop by saying File, Open. You really do want to open as a smart object there. Okay, open. Gonna fetch it on my desktop. And it's gonna ask me, do you want it imported like this? And unless you change something weird in here, it's gonna be okay like this, but I'm gonna just make sure the resolution is 300. And the pixel dimensions will be fine. They're gonna be an A4 size, because almost an A4 size. Because I did reduce some of the artboard. I'm gonna click OK. Let's move the Fibonacci spiral into the picture of the truck. I'm just gonna move it with the black arrow, the selection tool of not the. Okay, so let's move this Fibonacci spiral into the picture in Photoshop, the truck picture. I'm just gonna choose my move tool here in Photoshop. It's no longer the selection tool. The selection tool can actually be found inside of Photoshop, but that's not used for moving objects that are made of pixels. So move tool, I'm going to select that. That's what we use in Photoshop instead. I'm going to click and drag it all the way up to the truck. I'm just going to release it down here. Then I'm going to free transform it. You can either click on show transform controls and then make it smaller, or you could choose edit free transform. It does exactly the same. I always switch off my show transform controls after having used them, and I'm resizing my spiral to fit actually somewhat the truck. I'm gonna make it a bit bigger than the truck because I also want some of the road and perhaps some of the items on the road to be there still. I'm gonna always hold down shift while doing so, and I'm gonna switch the opacity to about 40% so I can see through it. That's on my layer 1. It will be named layer 1 in almost any circumstance unless you created some other layers first. And now I'm gonna actually flip my spiral. I'm gonna do that by just typing in by the width a minus number in front of it, so minus 63 it says by mine, and then just hit enter, so it's actually inverts, not inverts, so it flips this object horizontally because you typed it in width, otherwise in height it would be vertically. I'm gonna just click either this check, this I agree symbol right here, or I'm just gonna hit enter. That will transform it. Now I'm gonna switch off these show transform controls, and now it's a matter of finding the right place for it. And I think if the spiral perhaps were to hit the back of the truck right here, and the spiral kind of like hits into where the wheel actually goes and makes an opposite spiral again. I actually think that would be fitting for my picture. Now I'll need some more balance at the bottom, probably because I'll just take my ruler tool, because you see this line right here is perhaps a bit high compared to the road, which is down here. So I'm probably gonna move this down just a bit more, even though the edge up here appears to be hitting correctly. This line right here could be placed a bit below, just to make sure that it actually fits the landscape. So I'm gonna switch to my move tool again. Just gonna move this down a bit to perhaps around here, still making a nice spiral going up here, then down here, and almost hitting the roof here. So the spiral is holding on to the truck now. We got some of the ground with us, we got some of the sky with us, and we got an almost fitting ruler like here. I'm just gonna move this and check. Yeah, it's kind of there. Okay, so let's just try cropping with this. I'm gonna switch to my crop tool, and I'm just gonna click and drag from the edges onto my Fibonacci spiral, and when I'm there, I'm actually thinking this looks nice. I'm gonna hit enter to crop, and I'm gonna switch off the visibility of my layer number 1 where the spiral is on, and you see now we actually got a much better cropping than we had before. Now one other thing could be actually to start thinking about, should we be increasing the lighting levels in this picture? Should we be doing something? Should we actually even be using this picture? One thing that's great if you're not entirely happy with the composition, if you made something a bit off, you can always, if you had not switched on delete crop pixels when using the crop tool, you can actually always just switch to your move tool, make sure you're standing on the right layer, the one with the truck, and then you can actually just hit your arrow keys up or down just to move it a bit until you find exactly where you want it to be. And by moving it up, actually I think I was approximately where I first decided for the spiral to be. And you can just move it a bit to one or the other side, and I think we got a nice shot right there. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. At least that's it for me. Have a nice day.